Welcome to Sober.Coffee, a weekly coffee chat sharing experience, strength, and hope for anyone on the sober road to recovery. You can download Sober.Coffee weekly on all podcast platforms and check us out on Instagram at Sober.Coffee Podcast and on Twitter at Sober.Coffee Pod. To learn more about us and to help support these sessions, visit online at Sober.Coffee. Here are your hosts, two guys on their own path to recovery, Mike and Glenn. Let's join them at the coffee shop.
Two guys on the path, four guys on the path.
Four guys on the path. Hey, thanks for the muffins this morning. Appreciate it.
Listen, you sound all jacked up, man. What do you got? A little decaf going over there?
No, man, I brought the gallon in today.
Yeah.
We
need
boys
energy.
Are in. The sober gods are in, so
Yeah,
we thought
we need energy.
I had to get pumped up. But
The sober gods.
hey, man, I'm looking forward to diving into this, our summer series.
Yeah.
By the way, we are on social media.
And YouTube.
And YouTube and the web, the interweb. Sober.Coffee. No.com, just Sober.Coffee, and we're Sober.Coffee on TikTok and on Instagram.
And an email address for those that still email, podcast@sober.coffee. Email into Glenn. He likes to get your
God, we just got a great email.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
You know, our whole objective, man, was to help one guy. And, man, I'll tell you what, that thing gave me chills.
Yeah,
just
it was good stuff.
Powerful email and just...
Speaking of chills, we got Ryan and Joe back in the studio, and
Summer series.
Summer series, and I'm going to call Ryan out here. He doesn't know it, but I'm going to do it. So I just got a text from our friend Elizabeth. Elizabeth's been on the podcast a bunch, and she says,
"Pickleball queen."
She says, "Did you know it's Ryan's 11th anniversary?" Right?
No.
So he's got he's keeping a secret, right? And then she goes on to say, "You may not know this about Ryan." So now I'm like, giddy up. I know, right? But he pops up at volunteer stuff and supports people when and they speak at he speaks at other clubs. He's come to South Suburban, You Can Too Club, and the Sock Up Dance. He pops up and supports people. I don't think a lot of people know that. She says,
Ryan does
and
that?
by himself, not with a group. Good, smart, humble guy. How do you like that? The word's on the street.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm impressed.
Yeah. Is there another Ryan anniversary?
Yeah, I was to say,
that doesn't sound like
coincidence, right?
Are we saying this is Ryan D?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Awesome.
Yeah, maybe she needs to clarify the 7 a.m. Sunday right now.
Yeah.
So, first of all, I'm impressed. It took me about 8 years to realize that you can actually serve and do something like that without telling people.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I always thought if you didn't tell somebody, it didn't count.
Well, you have the great analogy, the tree falls analogy. You said that a couple times.
I know, totally. It's like, man, if you serve and didn't tell anybody and nobody knows, does it count?
Right.
Does it count? Right.
So I'm like, holy shit,
You
man.
probably got to explain the tree falls scenario to Joe. Like, Joe, if a tree falls in the forest, does it make a noise? So
and nobody's there, Joe. Does it make a sound?
Thanks.
We'll get some pictures for
But that's funny. I did not know you did that. I did not know you go around and speak. I think telling the story is
Holy
telling your
shit,
story.
man.
I've done it.
Ryan.
I've done it before, but where I've seen Elizabeth is going to see other speakers,
Yes.
right? Just like
Supporting.
People
That's what I do.
texting like, hey, and not even really in group chats because there's some group chats that I'm in, and then there's some there's a 7 a.m. text chat that I'm not in, and which I don't have any resentments over it or anything.
No, obviously.
But,
Maybe a little resentment.
it's okay. Phil started it, so I get where it's coming from. But it's cool. I get, Elizabeth keeps me in the loop on things. Some other people keep me in the loop. But it's hearing announcements in the morning, and I'm like, hey, I got nothing to do on this Saturday at 8.
That's awesome, supporting
And it's
another person.
That's amazing.
It's where my wife's like, it's Saturday at 8 p.m. My son's like, why go? Go.
That's what I'm doing tonight. I'm going to support a speaker tonight.
Yeah, man.
It's just, it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
If you got the time. Yeah.
No, it's great. I mean, really.
So shout out. So, Glenn, you had an idea for this.
No, that's amazing. I think it's great.
You had an idea for this
so
session.
I was just thinking, rapid fire. It's like rapid fire. You
We did
cover a
that
lot of
last week,
content.
right?
Yeah, a lot of content over a short period of time. So what I thought we'd do is go around the table here, the podcast studio, and go through each one of the steps and just give each one of us, we'll start with one, and then just give your instant reaction to your experience with that step or one tidbit or just something about that step to help people understand the 12 steps and kind of some depth behind it.
This is where Joe and I check out, right? Because we're we're not big steps guys.
right,
So I think
I was just wondering. I'm watching Joe over here
I think
Google
these guys-
12 steps of
I'm
Alcoholics
like,
Anonymous.
I don't even know what they are.
No, I like.
There's 12 of them?
Joe, there's a couple in the middle that kind of that lose me too. I'm
Well,
just
I was going to say, I think I got to step 3.
yeah.
So,
No, this is good because Joe and I talk about this is probably the weakest part of my program. Certainly,
mine
of
too,
ours, where it's like,
certainly.
it makes me cringe
not-
just hearing about it. But we're here.
We're not big, we're not.
But
big,
no, it's good.
Big book followers, and again, it's it's like my sponsor says, you got to work your program, right? So what's your program? Again, I may not be able to recite,
So, Glenn,
156 pages.
Well, no, I actually pulled them up.
So Glenn, you probably want to start with number one, so he knows.
Maybe, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
this is actually an intervention. Ryan says, "Hey, let's first step Joe."
Yeah. No, that's not what I said. I said let's all step Joe.
Let's step on Joe.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll do the 13th step with Joe.
Fantastic.
All right.
Hey, and for those of you who are new to the program and don't know what the 13th step is, that's for a later episode.
No, it's a prior one. Glenn and
Yeah, it's
I did
actually a
that
prior-
one. Yeah, we did that one.
Yeah, we actually did that. That's awesome. Yeah, let's not do the 13th step. Okay, step number one, and just round robin, just jump in, right? One, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable.
Yeah, so Dr. John, who's been on the coffee shop before, says basically, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
It's coming to a realization that I can't, as Ryan said last week, drink like a normal person. My life was unmanageable. So, yes, Dr. John, I quote you, he's right. When I came to the realization I was fucked, life began to get better.
All right, great.
Yes, when you finally come in and say that you can't do it anymore, and the consequences are enough, and again you're saying, okay, I'm gonna make a conscious effort to stop drinking and take alcohol out of your life. And again, like I said in the beginning, we all come in, and I don't know if we necessarily think we're going to quit forever, but we know we need to quit for the in the meantime, and and that's again, and one day turns into another, and before you know it, into another, and so on, and 11 years later, here you are.
Yeah, for me, it's the unmanageability that gets it for me. Like when I came in, didn't want to be there, just wanted, like, my life was so unmanageable because of alcohol. I just wanted it to end. I wanted control again, but I wanted things to become more manageable. And they have, and thankfully I stayed sober, but that's what the first step is for me.
Okay.
For me, I had enough proof. Powerless over alcohol, I got to the point where I had to go to a hospital to stop drinking. I mean, I was powerless, and I've been over 80 hospitalizations, and so that was enough evidence. And then unmanageable, I lost everything in my life, so I had enough evidence there too. I mean, I just couldn't. I finally surrendered. I'm like, I will do anything you tell me to do. I just can't take another drink. I mean, I just gave up my decision making. So step one for me was pretty easy. Mm-hmm. Okay, number two, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity.
I would say that was pretty easy to me because I had a belief in a higher power, right? At the time, I'm afraid for people that don't have that this is a step they need to work on. But I had that. Did I believe he could restore me to sanity? I thought I was a lost case. Yeah. So I don't know that I bought into the whole thing immediately.
Joe?
For me, it's like they said, you heard the cliche line, God didn't turn his back on me. I turned my back on God. And I, again, at that point, I was angry. I'm a very faithful, spiritual person, by, the way I was raised. Very angry, and when you're not accountable and you're drunk, you point the fingers at everybody but yourself. So yes, it was finally looking to God, and it took a little time, but yes, I was able to reconnect.
Again, believed in God, just came in, didn't really want a God-based program, wasn't ready for that. But then over time, the obsession left, and then it's. The one thing I heard in a meeting, it's natural for me to want to drink, so it took something supernatural for me to not drink.
Never heard that. Yeah. That's awesome. Yep.
Awesome. Okay, so for me, the whole God thing didn't work, and it didn't say God, it says power, although it does have a capital P. But my immediate is that counselor I surrendered to. I mean, he was my power greater than me, my sponsor in the program of AA. That worked for me for probably 2 years, and I just and abuse. I just
and abuse.
I did.
Oh, that's funny.
I did. Those four things really.
Yeah, but
helped
it takes what it takes, though.
Hey,
absolutely.
It takes what it takes.
Yes, I'm with you.
Yeah, the
God
hardcores.
and abuse. I love it.
The people
It's
who
a good
criticize
combo.
that, it's yeah.
My sponsor told me
I
to
drank
tell them
on
to go fuck
abuse,
themselves.
so I just like
That's
Not
fun.
supposed-
Is it, Joe?
survived?
You're not supposed to.
No.
Joe, that's fun.
Yeah.
Ryan, seriously,
Yeah.
you're not supposed to.
Yeah.
Really, that's a
Totally.
bad,
It's not
bad decision.
recommended.
All right, 3. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over the care of God as we understood Him.
Still working on it.
Good answer,
That's fair.
Mikey.
That's fair.
I do try to turn it over. We talked about this in one of the earlier episodes. Turn it over to God. Well, again, that for me is hard because old Joe likes to come back. So that's always. I think that'll be a work in progress to the day I die.
Yeah.
So
Just accepting that I can't control everything. That's a constant battle for me. I have to accept that somebody else is in control. Deep breaths, prayers, things like that try to get me kind of a little bit settled down.
All right, great. I probably have a several-part answer here. First of all, I'm still resentful to my sponsor. He let me hang on this step way too long. I spent 18 months roughly on this step trying to figure it out.
Special case.
I am special. But it doesn't say figure it out. It just says make a decision.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But for me, the God I grew up with was a very judgmental God. It was fake. Right. You had these 12-minute prayers at church. They played points. You got extra points for using the word sanctification. It was all bullshit. Right. And they had words for people like me: sinner, right, damnation, right, hell, right, for how I lived. So I had to unlearn a lot of that shit. And then learn about a loving God who, the prodigal son story, right? A dude that forgives, and he's not a capital G God in my mind. He's, he does. It's a father-son type of relationship, and but it's as we understand him. I'm still trying to figure it out, right? But one of the key things is, turn our will and our lives. I remember, I was getting involved with this church shit, and I'm at the lunch with this guy that just got out of Bible school, and I'm like, I'll get him.
Yeah.
Right. We're sitting at lunch. I'm like, hey, this whole God's will shit, right? Like I don't wake up and God doesn't fill out my Outlook calendar.
Yeah.
And the guy in such wisdom, such an impact. He goes, Glenn, I get it. Right. He goes, let's start with this. He goes, do you have an idea what God doesn't want you to do? And I'm like, well, yeah, it doesn't want me to drink, right? And so I started to build a fairway, as I like to call it, of how I can live. He's like, I don't think God cares if you have a ham sandwich or turkey sandwich. I think that's a bunch of bullshit. He goes, but I think God cares what you do with your life and what you don't do, right? He said, so rather than worrying about the calendar, just put stuff on there that you're not going to do. And that was a great start for me.
It's great. Yep. It's great.
Good advice.
Yep.
Great start. All right, next one. 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Step 4.
Man, I love that step. I spent more time on that step than anything. It took me.
Is that because you were afraid of it? Or
No,
I
I was into it. I wanted to take inventory.
All right.
And I had a lot to take. I was 60 years old when I came into the program. I had 60 years of history I needed to figure out. Loved it. Loved that step.
Yeah, that step for me was good. I think it was cleansing. Again, I think we could work that step to the day we die. I mean, that step is a continual one. But yeah, I mean that was huge for me to get that off my chest with my sponsor.
Yeah, mine was more where did it go wrong, how to course correct, and then how to treat people better moving forward.
Mm-hmm. All right, mine was bullshit. For all the rehabs I was in, you had to do a 4-step before you left. So I would do like 32-page with charts and graphs and pictures, and I was just trying to impress. And so by the time I did it for real, it probably didn't mean too much, But
Yeah.
I understand the value of it, and I like working with guys because I kind of redo it when I go through with guys. So it's really cool. Okay, number 5. Admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs.
Admitting to myself, to another human being, was real easy for me. Admitting to God was a little bit tougher, even though my God, my perception of my God, he knows all my rights and wrongs. It was really hard for me to come to that table and say, all right, I kind of did this. I kind of screwed up here. So
Me, pardon me. The same thing here. For me, it was admitting to God. It was easy. That for me, I was able to, again, I looked at it like, well, God was fully aware of what I've done and what I was doing. So I had no problem kind of telling him, again, I wanted to blame, right? I wanted to blame people for the stuff I was doing. So, and then telling another person, and that being my sponsor and people in the program, guys like you guys that I got close to, and that know stuff about me, and that in itself is freeing. Getting that, again, like they say, a problem shared is a problem half solved, and again, getting that stuff off your back. And that's the one thing about, is we don't judge.
Right.
All our
beautiful?
stories,
Yeah.
we don't judge.
Yeah.
And Ryan, you don't have to flex.
Checking the mosquito bite.
No,
you had
Joe
an
knows. Joe knows the you talked about segue. So,
right.
like the past couple, it's been about a week since, but before that, for 2 weeks straight, I was breaking out in hives. No idea why. Just I went to a couple three doctors, and finally the allergist like, you're just fighting a virus. Okay, well, what is it? I don't know. Like any tests you might want to do, whatever. But I remember I had to take like several different types of medicine, steroids, Benadryl, some other thing that's like supposed to be like Benadryl, doesn't work, but it made me feel terrible. Like just, steroids make me feel like I'd run through a wall. Then the Benadryl is like whatever. And anyway, the point is, dickhead, I was looking at every now and then I'll have an itch, and I just want to make sure it's
not the rash coming back.
Not the hive coming back.
Like I said,
I think they come back when I'm stressed.
Yes.
And sitting in Joe, just the anxiety levels.
I definitely elevate the level of stress.
Joe's anxiety, Anyway, back to, what step are we on again? 5.
14.
It worked.
5. Yeah, there you go, Joe. No, you know what? Admitting myself and God was easy. I had enough foxhole prayers at that point. I understood where, with my shortcomings. I remember Joe and I had the same sponsor. I remember talking to Joe about how worked up I was getting about telling another person. I'm only 30 and I have all this shit. And Joe's like, dude, in AA, man, and especially, me, him, and our sponsor, he's like, we ain't altar boys. He goes, just tell them. And I'm like, all right. So it's bad when Joe's the voice of reason. I'm like, all right, I guess I got to.
Bar's really low.
Let me call.
I was going to say, well.
You guys, I show you, I was desperate. So I talked to my sponsor, but I remember reading on his porch. Remember Jim's porch in his backyard? I remember it was a Saturday morning, and I'm going through my list, and, and I'm sitting there getting worked up. It's getting worse and worse progressively, and he's just looks at me after. He's like, all right, whatever. I'm like, wait, that's it? He goes, well, you didn't tell me anything I've never heard or done or seen.
Right,
He goes, you're not doing anything new. He goes, maybe you're a little younger than some people that, and he goes, but dude, this is part of it, so just,
Good deal.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting there thinking from Heineken to meth. All right. Yeah. So
that part out, pal.
Step 5 for me. I'm fully transparent. I think in AA, if you have diarrhea, you just tell people you have diarrhea. It's because kind of how AA is. And I've told many people, hey, when I was 12 years old, I burned 1/3 of my church down. I lit it on fire. But I had one thing that I shared. And there's only one person I've told in my entire life, and it was very freeing getting that off.
Yeah.
It was such a secret that I'm such shameful and
Want to tell it now?
Zero chance.
His sponsor already did, so we're good. We already know.
We won't hold it against you. Promise.
The people in Bangladesh are at the edge of their seat. They want to hear it.
Yeah. I know. I want to hear it.
God, I feel sorry for the one listener in Bangladesh. But I'm sitting there. One thing I will say about the 5th step is the magic or miracle of the program, to have a level of trust, right? And when I listen to people's 5th step, I take that so seriously. And I'm just like, man, that somebody trusts me enough to share their deepest, darkest secrets and to watch it work. It's just amazing. So I love the 5th step. All right, next one. I do have to read this one because I don't know this one by heart.
See,
yeah,
nice.
Once we get to 6, 7, 8, it's like
I can relate to.
Thank God there's not 99 of these.
Yeah.
No, 6 I just remember drop the rock, right? But 6 is we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. we were entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character.
Okay. So, again, it went back to my God thing, but I would say I'm hung on Ryan saying let go, let God, or whatever, you know.
I don't say that, Mike.
No, you said it. You referenced it. You mocked it.
Right.
Keep going back, Mike.
That's one of the cousins, but we won't get into any of that.
Yeah, sure. I'm entirely ready. Go.
All right, Joe.
Yes. Again, you try to every day, right? We're trying to let go. Every day we get up and we try to stay sober, and we work the program, and we talk to each other, and we talk to other alcoholics. I think we're letting go.
The character defect thing it's a constant battle, because you can still have those alcoholic tendencies even though you're sober, and sometimes they come out and it's like, all right, I need to kind of step back a little bit and really pause. Not going to get into that whole saying, but just pause and kind of look at look at what's. It's like, all right, you don't have to. For me, it's you don't have to react or respond to every situation. Sometimes, Glenn, you said let the silence sit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like just shut your damn mouth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So for me, there are character defects. I mean, I think I've gotten rid of a lot of them and managed a lot of them, but there's some I still like, and it's just amazing because I'm very aware today of when I pull them out, and I pull them out with Jen. And there's times I'm like, my brain's like, Glenn, don't let it go. Don't let it come. And I have some zingers that are just too good to go unused, And it's funny because I'm like, Glenn, you're going to have to apologize for that. But I'm like, okay, but I let it come anyhow. I mean, I just, a work in motion. Okay. 7, humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings.
Definitely did that. Check.
Yeah, I do that. I do that every morning and every evening. That's something that we'll do forever.
Every morning it's God help me today. I've heard people say like get in my head before I do, things like that. But that's part of it, just every morning.
Yep. Same with me. Every morning, every night. Page 86, and frankly throughout the day. And one of the things is, one of the things I learned is I don't have to have all the answers. There's so much help, and asking for help is a superpower. And I have you guys, man. I reach out to you guys all the time, and I reach out to people all the time, and I have a ton of shortcomings, and they are what they are, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Up till I was 50, I had to pretend like I knew everything, and that's hard. Mm-hmm. All right, 8. Made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all.
Took me a lot of pens, but I got through it with enough ink.
All right.
Yeah, that again, freeing, making a list, and I'm still, going back to 2 steps ago, we're our old
Two-step
self.
Joe?
Yeah, well, yeah, double stepping. But we were our old self, and like I was telling my wife last night, I was like, again, like when we engage, and the old us comes out, right? It's like, we have a right to be irritable and discontent. We're not always happy, joyous, and free. I mean, we're human, right? So we're unfortunately we're doing this stuff without a numbing device. So, so you're gonna be quicker to react, quicker to maybe do those things we're gonna have to apologize for. So, again, it's a constant battle.
That was a little tough for me, but I found that I worked like step 5. I made more of it than I had to. Like I remember doing an amends to family members. They're like, "We're good, man. Like we just want you to stay how you are and get better, right?" I definitely made more of it. But right now, the biggest thing is like a living amends, right? Like Joe talked about it a little bit. Like you can be the living amends. You don't have to. Hopefully, you don't have to get there. But if you get to that point, like do it right away, right? Don't let that sit and treat people a little bit better.
Yeah, so for me, I did the initial list with my sponsor. I listed them all, but over time, as you peel back the onion and as your memory comes back, I mean, I'm continually adding to mine over time. But a couple quick tips that I love to throw in is 1, don't make the list alone. Make the list with a sponsor. Because the first one was on my list was my ex-girlfriend, who I nicknamed Satan, right? And my sponsor's like, no,
you don't
Glenn.
need to reach out to her.
No, Glenn.
There's a guy in the room who said like the 8 steps, the amends list is not to like the drug dealer who ripped you off one day. You know what I mean? It's not,
Right.
No, totally. So So one is don't make the list yourself, make it with a sponsor.
Yeah.
Two is, work with them and get guidance on timing, right? Because I think the living amends, your 8th to 9th step will go a lot easier if you have living amends involved. If you're out there in 4 weeks and like, I was in a meeting, I heard about this 8th to 9th step, I'm just going to jump in and do it. You're going to get fucked up, and then you're going to get all resentful and pissed off. This shit doesn't work, right? So, all right, that's 8th step. All right, 9th step. The second part of 8th step is made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others.
Life changer for me. I mean, it was the promises are the 9-step
Have
promises.
you done them all?
No, I've still got some
Okay,
to do.
all right.
I'm waiting for conditions. Sometimes you got to wait for the right conditions. I mean, I'm good. I'm doing living amends.
Okay.
But I need to wait for the right condition.
All right.
Yeah, I'm making amends, like you said, life changing. I did make amends. My father, God rest his soul, has passed. But I was able to apologize, and he got to see me, living sober, and living a good sober life. He, again, to all the people around me, my wonderful wife Lisa, and my kids, and I did apologize to them for a lot of years that they didn't deserve, but. Again, I think that is life changing. But I still do have one. I have not ever.
I'm here if you want to go ahead and do it now.
Well, again, I'm like Glenn.
So
I'm gonna keep this one in. And I don't think I'll ever make this amends because it's something, and it still bothers me to this day. And but again, I think it would harm somebody, and again, I think it would do more bad than good.
So my only coaching tip there is
Yeah.
there's a number of different ways to make amends. So, I mean, I had a couple.
Enlighten me. I'd love to know.
Write letters.
Yeah, I was just going to say, write a letter. But
Write letters
don't
and
give
never
it.
send them.
Don't give it to the person.
Don't send it.
Yeah.
It gets it out of you.
Oh,
So
write it, but don't send it.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying a letter.
No,
well,
no.
So
I see.
I would work with your sponsor.
Yeah.
But I had a couple. I wrote letters. In fact, to this girl, I wrote a letter.
Yeah.
Right. And then we just purposely put it aside, and
Yeah.
it never got mailed, but it's still out there.
Oh,
right?
that's good.
It's still out there.
And then
in the
you
universe.
shared it with your sponsor,
Yeah.
so that helps
Yep.
too.
Yep.
And over time, that
Yeah.
like desire or that maybe that itch that you have to make amends, it kind of goes away, right? Because you did write the letter and it's there, and it's
You
Yeah, I mean,
acknowledged, you acknowledged it.
It is like you call it. It's head trash. It's still in my
Yep.
head. I feel
Sure.
terrible that it happened, and it's a regret. And I was a kid, you know. So
Love it.
Yeah, so for me, I jumped the gun on the 8th step, which is, why I need to hear what the steps are. But making amends.
The apology tour.
No, exactly. That's what it is.
Right,
and it's funny.
It is
You mentioned
good
that. So,
call.
like, my first year of sobriety, I had we scheduled a lunch, and my buddies and I do it every year now around Christmas, and we went downtown. And my one buddy is like, "Oh yeah, when will the next Ryan apology tour be?" And I was like, "First of all, I don't know you shit." I was like, "Cause you were right there with me." But no, I was joking. It was a friend who I did. He's like, "Dude, we're good." But I feel like we it's a lot for us. It is more for us than it is for the other
absolutely.
person.
Absolutely.
But like you guys said, there's the reality is there are some people in our lives that just don't want to hear it. They don't want to be part of our, and that's okay. Like, it
Right.
eats at us a little bit, but then the ones that do want to hear it, I have found that when I sat down with each and every one of them, they're like, we just want to make sure that you continue
good.
like this.
Yeah,
If you're
isn't
good,
that
we're
something?
good. I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, cool.
yeah,
All right, so the one thing about making amends is getting it out there. We're not responsible for the response, right?
Yeah.
So that's one thing. I've had miracles in my 9th step, my 8th and 9th step, or my 9th step. I mean, I had the IRS forgive me of $565,000.
that is.
I just can't. You just
that's
can't make that
insanity.
shit up. Very, very powerful. I still have a couple to do. Over time and working with sponsees, some keep coming up. But it is living proof. When I have a dial that says faith on one end, fact on the other, man, it just cranks fact. And I've had amazing. But the biggest thing is early in the program, I have found that, I found a God that forgives me. I have found people that forgive me. And through the 9th step, I was able to finally start to forgive myself.
Yeah.
I'm like, if God forgave me of all this shit and he knows everything, and now people who I absolutely fucked, have forgiven me all this stuff, right? And the living amends really helped with that. Hey, maybe it's time, right? So that's what came out of me. The ninth step is I made amends to myself and forgave myself and just started differently. So, all right, cool. Ninth is powerful. All right, 10. Continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it.
Absolutely love that step. It's my nighttime prayer. It's where did I go?
Yep.
Yeah, where did I go
Reflect
wrong
on my day.
Where did I go wrong today? Just to keep in check.
And then, do you actually go back and make amends, or
If I need to?
Yeah.
But you know what? My days are a whole lot different these days than my days were then, man. I was stepping on people, not showing up. I mean, I was acting poorly.
Yeah, again, that's it's just in right actions, right? So, but we still get irritable, we still get discontent, we still have bad days, and so I mean, but the thing is, working the program, we can now acknowledge that, and we can now see that we're being a dick, and and it doesn't hurt me to say I'm sorry and be wrong. And that's the difference now. I don't always have to be right, and again, we're all human.
Yeah. And it's like what Mike said, where you try to live your life to where those amends that you have to, the apology tours are less and less, right? And like Joe said, then when it does come up, we at least can acknowledge it right away, and there's times where we're not perfect. We are stubborn. Right, especially my wife. Right, I am quick. She'll joke like to my son, "You're just like your dad. You never say you're sorry for things." And I'm like, "What the fuck?" Like, But she's right. And it's about getting to the point where hopefully we don't have to make as many. But then when we do, quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for me, it's page 86, right? And so I really live that. I still do. And I say, hey, if I'm going to tell on myself, right, and make the amends, I mean, over time, I said, well, I'm just not going to do them.
Yeah.
And it changed how I lived. There's still some, and one of my favorite ones is, I have a workbench in my garage, and it looks like shit, but I know where everything's at. And Jen likes to go out once, twice, 3 times a year and organize it, right?
Alphabetize it.
God bless her.
I know. I
got to get Lisa to do that.
No, I've written that down.
Yeah.
No, I've written that down to tell my divorce attorney, but the last time and it really pissed me off, and I'm like, hey babe, do whatever you want, and then I'm walking away. I'm like, because I'm just going to change it back as soon as you're done, and she got all pissed off, and I'm like, Glenn, why'd you say that, right? And so I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm just frustrated, because now I'm not going to know where everything's at, and I'm the one that needs the shit, right, and blah blah. But what I noticed, if you really do step 10 and you do page 86, when you reflect on your day, it's going to change how you live. Yeah. You're just going to live better because you're going to be tired of. I'm not going to use the word embarrassed, but you're going to be tired of going back and apologizing and just change the way you live.
And like, how many days did we, roll into work or some family event or whatever, and we're just like, shit, I can't show my face today because of whatever happened over the weekend, and we don't have to do that anymore. I did want to say, like, that's you've mentioned page 86 several times, so I think Joe and I have to figure out.
I was going to say,
we have to figure out where's that come from?
Yeah.
Where's that?
All right, so there's this blue book. It's about 2 inches tall.
Is it?
And it's got Alcoholics Anonymous on the front of it.
Shit! I don't know if I own one or not.
We'll get you one.
Yeah, right.
That's awesome. No, there are, it's funny. We all laugh like at church shit. We call them scripture throwers. It's like big book throwers. They just, we deal with some guys, and I mean, they are talking, walking big.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And the only thing I know is page 86 and the doctor's opinion.
Yeah.
That's all I know. All right, 11. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out.
That's my life today. My program has shifted now into spiritual growth. Mm-hmm. That's where I put the wind that goes behind that sail.
Awesome.
Yeah, for me, God, I got to pray for that every day. I got to be honest. It's kind of like my couple meetings a week. I'm not as close to God as I wish I was, and my spirituality could certainly use some extra credit, but no. But I mean, again, I do attribute all of everything I have today to my higher power, who I do call God.
It's awesome.
When I was early in sobriety, I asked somebody who is now my sponsor. Actually, I was meeting with him a lot early in sobriety, and Sammy. And Sammy was doing well. He's got a couple more years than Joe and I.
Yeah.
And
Happy Sammy, not angry Sammy.
Yes. Same stature.
Same. Yes.
But one is significantly happier.
Are you talking height there?
I have no way.
You were referencing height, just so you know that, Sammy.
I have no way. I have no room to talk in that category.
Well,
so
that's true.
But no, Sammy. I asked him. I said, what did it, right? What did it that where you have like you got your things back, but more importantly, you got your family back. Like what happened? And Sammy said, God's grace.
Yeah.
And at that point, I'm like, all right, dude, like give me something I could chew on, you know. But now looking back, like 11 years, like it's what it is, man. It's God's grace. I mean, he, who else but that, right?
Yep.
So for me, it's every day, like. Help me today. Thank you, God. Like acknowledging that I can't do it alone, and just acknowledging that there's something else, right? That kind of guided me along the path. And then the other thing is God works through people. So when there are times where I'm like, maybe not going to pray today or whatever, then I see things like
like a prayer text come in.
Oh yeah, our prayer text. Like, but I see what you guys do, right? The things that I mean. Glenn and I worked together for a couple of years. Where he's at and where I'm at, from where we were.
Oh
I think we were on. I was on year 3 and you were on year 2 or 3 or whatever when we started working together, and it was fine. Yeah. I mean, Glenn and I obviously we got to spend a year and a half together, but where he's at today compared to where we were then and where I'm at, man, it's just there's
incredible.
No what else.
There's no explaining.
What else but God's grace, right?
That is God's grace for sure.
Yeah, so I had no idea what this meant. In fact, when September 14, I remember I just knew. I tried everything else, including yoga, and nothing else worked for me.
Well, I'm not surprised there.
Yoga didn't work?
Yoga never worked.
I gave it every day for 30 days, and it was absolute bullshit. I really tried it, but I knew in my heart and soul, I knew God was true north. I knew I had to give. I had no idea what that meant. And I remember September of 2014, I'm like, God, I will do anything you tell me to do. I have a blank dry erase board. I have nobody in my life. I have no money. I have no career. I have absolutely nothing. Just make sure you give me the money to do it, right? Yeah. I will do anything. And that's where, as I look back at the promises, every one of the promises are coming true, but it looks like nothing like that list that I wrote down. Right. I want it back. And the only thing I can attribute that to is God's will. And I wake up every day in my own quiet time. God speaks to me through quiet. He speaks to me through music. He speaks to me through people. And, I put it out there, and I can't explain it. Where I know and when I know I'm in the right zone, doing the right thing, I get chills. That's kind of my God shot. And that's how, God's communication line with me is, Glenn, you're where I want you to do, right? And a lot of times it's not what I want to do.
Yeah.
Joe, I'm doing that Rudy thing again coming up in September. I mean, that's the last fucking thing I want to do is spend 10 more weeks on Thursday nights.
It's a church thing. He just
it's a church thing about figuring out God. I mean, that's the last thing I feel like doing. But it was like poke. So now
and again, that was out of my comfort zone, and I did it with you a couple years ago, and again. I mean, that's what this program is all about, is doing things that we don't feel comfortable doing. And I didn't do that, and I did it. And
love that.
That's what growth is all about.
But that's where the magic happens.
Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
when you look, I just got chills. Look, when you get off the couch, you get in the deep end.
Yeah. I
mean, you don't learn how to swim by sitting on the bleachers. You get in the pool, and it's not fun.
Right.
It doesn't feel good. It's not fun. But I have. What I know is when you're doing God's will, right, or you're not doing the bad shit, it's a superpower. There's a guy that says to me, he says, hey, I got this opportunity to do this whole project. What do you think? I don't have any time. I'm like, you don't have any time not to do it. I'm like, you watch, you do this project, shit will work out like you wouldn't believe. And the guy came back to me afterwards. He said, I have no excuses. I had more time to do more things in my life. Like, how does that work out? I'm like, you're in the room where it happens. It just doesn't make sense. Okay. 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, kind of talking about that, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs.
It's my life purpose, really. I mean, it's
Hashtag
the one thing.
Purpose?
Yeah, it's the one thing that I've got that it's my story can be somebody's salvation. And that's amazing because it's such a nasty story. But that's why I go to meetings. I go to meetings for myself, But my prayer at the beginning of a meeting is let me say something that's going to be impactful and help somebody on their road to recovery, wherever they're at.
Yeah, and again, mine is my interpretation and action of that step is we all know people that should be in the rooms and in the program and aren't and probably want to be, but just haven't had the guts to make that transition. And is working and trying to, like you said, give them something that that will maybe get them to get over the threshold. And family members, friends, I mean, we all have people like that.
Like your shirt, our stories are stories of hope, and we can give hope to otherwise hopeless people because we were that, right? We were just broken, right? And I know people are like in the room, they say, well, we shouldn't talk about ourselves as, being negative and we weren't pieces of shit. It's like when I came in, I was a loser. I was a loser. I was a loser. And
me too.
And here's the thing. It didn't matter if I thought that of myself. Other people thought that of me.
Right.
So now, the story, if there's, like you said, if there's one or two people, and it's not that we're broadcasting it, right? It's by doing what we're doing, going to help.
Technically, we are.
Now we are broadcasting it. Yeah.
Right.
That's
right
true.
now we are.
Right now we are.
In Bangladesh.
But we're not. At family parties.
Right.
Joe's got family things that he's talked about before, and he's not like scolding them. It's just him being there. They know he's sober. Right, and they know that he's setting that example. Glenn's kids, he knows they're sober. Situations with us, so it's like if people need help, they know where to find it. We can't be, with the bullhorn out there, like hey, it's for everybody. It's like it's they got to get there.
That's right.
No, and I mean the reality is to quote Dr. John, many are picked, few are chosen. And we are the lucky ones to be chosen. So
indeed.
Yeah, so I think to carry the message, I think you have to have the message before you carry the message.
Yeah.
So probably rather than picture what it should be, I'll picture what I think it shouldn't be. And I remember this guy, 3 months sobriety, and he's on and he's soliciting for sponsees, right? And he's on these Zoom meetings asking, hey, if you need a sponsor, I'll be your sponsor, right? And he's got a couple months sober, and so he got 4 sponsees, and I'm like, I was the negative one in the room saying, dude, you don't have the message. How can you carry it?
Yeah. And
people were bashing me. And sure enough, it was absolute train wreck for all 4 sponsees and him, and it was. So I think you have to have the message before you carry it. I think being a sponsor is one of the most special roles that is up there for me, along with being a grandpa. It's one of the special roles. People trust you. You can take your mess and turn it into a message. My sponsor, God, I love him. He was joking during a Zoom meeting. He's like, oh, Glenn, my picture's not up behind you. And I turned behind me, and I have these 3 really beautiful, sexy pictures of this lighthouse in Portugal. And this wave, it's like a 120-foot lighthouse, and these waves are crashing over the lighthouse, and there's a guy standing outside the door right in front of all these waves. And I looked, I'm like, it just clicked for me. I'm like, I got 3 pictures of you up there. I said, you're my lighthouse, And I think that's what being a sponsor is, right? And for me, I'd call him up and ask him, I call him up 8 times a day, ask him stupid shit. Now I hear his voice in my head, I'm like, he's like, Glenn, none of your fucking business. Don't worry about all that. Don't worry about it. Just focus on you, right? Focus on what you do. And he just really helped guide me and help make decisions, and I made better decisions because of it. And so I think carrying the message is amazing. I try to throw seeds, right? Ryan, you talk about the bullhorn. I went to Liberty University where they packed up a van on the weekend with their milk crates and bullhorns and preaching, screaming the gospel, and it doesn't work, right? And I think part of it is just being there, being available, answering the phone. I think Ryan or Joe said that. Just answering
probably
the phone.
Ryan.
Yeah,
no, it was Joe, but that's all right.
Ryan said that.
We're a tag team.
We'll give Joe credit on that one.
So I think that's I think that's a really important step, is being there for somebody else. And I know all of us is at the table, and we're doing it right now.
Well, on the topic of sponsorship, when I remember talking to your sponsor Don about this one time, just maybe some frustrations with sponsee, and this is years ago, and Don's like, "Hey man, you gonna be sober when he calls?" Yeah, I plan on it. He goes, "Dude, sometimes that's all we have.
Right.
Like you can
Right.
preach as much as you want. This is how you need to live, but sometimes all you could do is answer the phone sober. And that's what that person needs."
Yeah.
Right.
That reminds me of early sobriety. Some of my best days is I just made it through sober. And sometimes I went to bed at 4 or 5 o'clock.
Yeah, 'cause you just wanted the day
to
to
ring
end.
the bell,
Yeah.
man. I just wanted to say I made it through another day sober, and it means a lot. So, guys, man, this is
Hey, we're
great.
wrapping up our summer series.
We have a lot of folks that are sober curious.
Yeah.
A lot of people that are saying, "Hey, this AA shit, it's a cult." I don't care what you call it. It works.
It does work.
right.
And again,
Give a parting to the sober curious out there, Joe. Just to give some encouragement.
Again, don't compare yourself out. You know what I mean? And give it a chance. Meet some people and be out. Again, don't come in and just not say anything and not connect. Try and open up a little bit, and even if you're a little socially awkward, at
I'm
least
in the room.
talk to somebody in there, and you don't have to tell them your whole life story, and you can stay somewhat private, but at least connect a little bit and give it a chance.
Excellent.
It's just easier. Life's not easy. There's curveballs. There's bullshit that we have to deal with. But doing it sober with the program and everything, it's just easier way to live. And the program allows us to be the version of us that we were supposed to be from the get go.
Oh, I love that. Guys, thanks a lot, man. Great to have
It's
you in.
been
Great for our
fantastic.
summer series. Mike,
Yeah.
great theme, summer series.
Yeah, it was good stuff. Good stuff. Hey, we'll see you next year.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks
You
for
got it.
having us.
Thanks for having us.
Summer
Appreciate it.
26.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you. Thank
See
you,
you guys.
Brian.
All right.
Thanks for joining us for today's coffee chat. To contact the show, email us at podcast@sober.coffee. If you need immediate help, the AA hotline is 800-839-1686. The National Suicide Prevention Hotline is 800-273-8255. Remember, Mike and Glenn are sharing their own journey on the path to recovery. Any suggestions, medical or otherwise, are their own experiences and should not be viewed as professional advice. See you next week, and remember, there is a solution.